Hey guys, what's up? Tamara here. Today I'm going to talk about the audiobook Feed by M.T. Anderson. This is a young adult futuristic sci-fi title, and to be quite frank, I don't know what to make of it. You know, to start, you guys, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to read or listen to this book or have anything to do with it, because when I read the description, I found it a little bit odd, and then I read some of the reviews and I was really thrown by if I wanted to read this or not. I thought it would be one of those quirky, really kind of hard to understand books, and for the most part it is that. But what surprised me is that listening to it on audio did improve the experience of the book. Now, you guys, this book is about teenagers. This boy named Titus and this girl named Violet, and they meet on Mars, and they go out one night and they are at this bar, I guess, doing random things, and there is a hacker attack, and their feeds, which are in their head, their feeds all kind of shut down. So they end up in the hospital, and during this time they're getting to know each other, and then on their way, when they get back to Earth, they continue dating. Now, what I did like about Violet and Titus is that they are the quintessential teenage couple. She's much smarter than him, much more intellectual and in tune with things that are going on. And Titus is kind of like, I don't know, he's got nothing going on up there sometimes. And you know, he openly says that he feels stupid, like compared to Violet, he feels dumb. And his parents like even try to soothe him about being a good person and loving him the way he is, despite the fact that he feels dumb. It's kind of weird. So in that respect, they're kind of like typical. And you know, when things get rough, like a typical teenage boy, he runs the opposite way. So those things are reminiscent of most YA angsty type books. Now, what was the big difference is this whole take on like consumerism and technology kind of taking everything over. And in this book, the feed is like the internet, like your brain is hooked up to the internet the whole time, whether you're asleep, awake, if you're watching television, it's going on. If you're shopping, it's spewing, you know, advertisements at you, telling you, like, let's say you look at this Kate Spade bag, it's like, oh, this is on sale at this store, or you can get 2 for this. And you know, they're all about instant gratification, buying things in their brain on the feed, and bam, it's delivered like within hours. So this whole consumerism thing is a really strong theme in the book, as well as like technology kind of taking over the way of life. And along with this technology, you know, no one reads anymore. The traditional, you know, idea of reading is gone. So, you know, Titus and his friends, they don't really read. The computer does everything for them. They don't even really have to think for themselves. And Violet is such a polar opposite of that, because she didn't get the feed until she was older. She didn't get it as a baby. So the way her father raised her, you know, her father doesn't have a feed either. So the way that she was raised, the way that she was homeschooled was very different than Titus. So they really came from 2 different walks of life, and coming together, you can really see the differences in the way they were raised and how they think about the feed, how they think about society and consumerism and all of that. Like Titus is all about rolling with the punches, and you know, you just do what you're supposed to do. And Violet is like rebelling against it a little bit, which is ironic because what she personally has going on with her feed in her head. Now, one thing that I did not like was their language, and I understand that it's another thing that emphasizes how disconnected the teenagers are with English and reading. Like, they use really unusual slang terms that for us would seem a little odd and out of place. They don't really even explain yourself. Like, for example, Titus will be saying, oh, this person said XYZ and da 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 da, or whatever, and they use those terms, da 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 and whatever and things like that, to finish sentences and explain things, and it's very weird. Now, taking all of that into consideration, I can imagine how reading this type of book would be dreadful. It would be just horrid. And so I am glad I listened to the reviews that I read, and I did listen to this on audio because this was a big production. Like every time you could hear the feed talking, it was like listening to a commercial on the radio. You can almost visualize it. The music, there was real music, real ads. I mean, it sounded just like I think what a feed would sound like in your head. And to me personally, I found that a little disturbing. So you're listening to the audiobook, you know, you're on one path, you're listening, and then all of a sudden all this racket just like comes into the situation. Oh, buy this, look at this. I mean, and it sounds like I think how the feed would bombard, you know, their heads. And you know, just to think if that was the situation, I don't think I'd want to feed. I mean, I don't want that chatter going on incessantly in my mind. People being able to text me in my mind and talk to me in my mind. It's just too much. So from that point of view, I did appreciate the audiobook because it really gave me a complete feeling of what M.T. Anderson was going for with technology and consumerism and things like that. I feel that had I read it, I think I would have been too put out by the sentence structure and the words they were using, and I think like the intervention of those ads and stuff, I think it would have confused me or made it harder to read possibly. A couple of ladies from book club had noticed that I was done with the book, looking at my status on Goodreads, and they had commented how they were having a difficult time with this book. I recommended that they switch over to audiobook. This narrator is amazing. The production level of this audiobook is just astounding. I don't think I've ever listened to an audiobook that sounded like this. It was really good, and I feel like that really balanced my dislike of the book, if that even makes sense. I know that probably doesn't make sense, you guys, so let me just jump into the rating. So with all of that said, I would rate Feed 3 out of 5 bookmarks, and that is because I honest to God do not know if I even like the book. I liked the idea of the subject matter. I liked Violet's character. I liked the audiobook version. I did not like Titus's character. I did not like the slang used, the verbiage used. Again, you guys, this is something that you just have to attempt to read or listen to on your own and, you know, figure it out for yourself if you like this book or not. That's why I gave it kind of a middle of the road, tilting more toward the positive, because I was just impressed with the audiobook version. That wraps up my thoughts on Feed. Have you read or listened to this title? If so, please feel free to leave your comments below and let me know where you fell on the spectrum. Did you love it or hate it, or were you kind of in between like me? Also, feel free to let me know if you read it or listened to it on audiobook, because I do feel like the audiobook made a difference, and I'd like to know what you guys thought about that. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy reading. Bye guys.